And you know what it is? I am so confident this don't go past 4 rounds. I know my son. Back him all the way, all the way. And Conor's not a 12-round fighter. He's an old-school fighter that can do 15 rounds. But you're going to see him, mate, the power that he's got. No one ain't seen him for the last 2 years. Oh, my gosh. You lot are in for a treat. Mark my word. You are in for a big, big treat.
How do I beat Conor Benn? Any way I want to. You know, it's not about strength and speed and age and weight, all the things that you guys love to talk about. It's about dedication. It's about paying, who's paid their dues and who's done it clean, who's dedicated their life, who's real and who's fake. And I believe all of those categories are in my favor.
Final one to yourself, you've told us no game plan. You don't need a game plan. When the opening bell rings here at Tottenham Hotspur,
right,
what happens?
Yeah, I'm coming in to take his head off.
He can't beat me. You know, he needed to take those performance-enhancing drugs to get to where he's gotten to. I never had to do that. So the mindset says it all. My mindset is just, it's too superior to him and what he's capable of. And that's where I get my confidence from.
The boxing world is on edge as Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn prepare to clash in a long-anticipated showdown between two fierce rivals with deep family history. With both fighters at their peak, this explosive encounter promises to deliver fireworks and decide who truly reigns supreme in this bitter rivalry.
I think he looks in great condition. I think he works extremely hard. I think he's not taking me lightly. I think his career is on the line. And when a man's career is on the line, it makes him dangerous.
Is there a mental warfare when the two of you are looking at each other? Do you almost feel like there's a certain battle that's won in the build-up ahead of going into the ring that gives you added confidence?
There's always mental warfare. There's always mind games. There's always, who's getting into whose head, who's affecting who emotionally, spiritually, mentally. These are all games that have to be played, especially when there are a million cameras on you. And you've got to come off as the person who is in control. I am in control. He is not.
I think if you look at their last 3 performances, both of them, I think you can't give him a chance in the fight. I think Chris Eubank Jr. dominates.
Most importantly, the final press conference between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, held on April 24th, 2025, was charged with tension, emotion, and unresolved history. With their fight set for April 26th at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, both fighters entered the spotlight not just as competitors, but as representatives of legacy and pride. The event was weighed down by their well-known last names and past disputes, including the postponing of their 2022 bout because of Benn's failed drug tests. Moreover, this time, both men came face-to-face with more at stake than ever: respect, redemption, and personal vindication.
Going to be the first man to turn. I don't think either of them give up. We could be here all day. This broadcast could go on for months.
Do you know what? You can see this like every day in every single fight you watch, but when it's a big fight, it just feels different, doesn't it? Just that tingle of what's going to happen.
The rumours has just changed. All eyes on the two fighters, Eubank, Benn, and they've just got eyes for each other. I mean, it is.
How iconic is this photograph? What the dads have gone through, the 2 fights, the bad blood between the fathers, and you're seeing it here. This image here is special.
And the way Nigel's just kind of quietly lurking in the back, and it's. He's ready.
Yeah, he's just even that Ring magazine in the middle between them both. Everything just feels right, doesn't it? It's brilliant.
It does. I don't know how they're going to separate these two.
It's about legacy, it's about bragging rights.
Furthermore, Chris Eubank Jr. dominated the press conference with a resolute statement and a furious spirit. He stated unequivocally that he sees this struggle as more than just a game. For him, it's about demonstrating his boxing commitment, discipline, and consistency.
I've put the time in. I've dedicated decades to this sport, and I've done it all without cheating, without cutting any corners, and I'm proud of that. The mentality I have, the experience I have, the fortitude, And the will is what I will be using on the night to take out my adversary in Conor Benn.
His body language was aggressive, his tone was severe, and he focused mostly on attacking Benn's previous behavior and upholding the sport's integrity.
You know, there's a reason why he had his training camp in Spain. You know, the kid had to flee his own country to prepare for this fight. He knew that he couldn't handle the pressure of, you know, walking these UK streets and having people shouting out drug cheat and egg jokes. He didn't want to be involved in any of that. So he took himself away, he hid away, and, you know, now he's back, and now he thinks he can use me to kind of get back into the good graces. You know, I haven't fled. I haven't hid away from anything. I've been in these streets.
In short, he appeared fueled not only by competitive spirit, but also by a deeper, more personal drive to protect his reputation and his family name. Additionally, one of the most dramatic scenes was when Eubank Jr. and Eddie Hearn, Benn's promoter, got into a fight. The discussion swiftly became heated as Eubank questioned Hearn's assistance to Benn during his previous suspension.
Yeah, just a few thank yous. Thanks to Rick.
Eddie.
I knew this was coming. Do you know what I've been thinking?
It was coming.
Do you know what I've been thinking? Can I not even say a few thank yous, or?
No.
Okay. Matchroom have to speak, right? So I'm going to switch it up. I'm just going to firstly say how proud I am of Conor Benn. What he's been through these last 2 years. And I can't wait for him to smash you to pieces on Saturday night. But Matchroom have to be represented. So I'm going to switch it up.
Hearn, who usually remained composed in front of the media, got clearly agitated and eventually walked off the platform. The walkout gave the ceremony an unanticipated dramatic touch and demonstrated the strong emotional attachments of both sides. It also emphasized how the conflict has evolved into a venue for conflict not only between combatants, but also between the networks and stories that surround them.
I'm going to let someone else speak on my behalf. I'm going to let someone else speak on my behalf.
You don't have to.
I'm going to introduce you to scumbag number 2. Frank Smith, come and take over.
You don't have to do that.
Okay.
Hello?
Substitution.
Chris? Good.
Frank, if Eddie's not speaking, do you think you're going to get a word in? Come on.
No, but I don't speak as long as he does. That's the one thing I'll give you. I'll be very quick.
We're going to have some parliamentary procedure today, and anything that Matchroom, Eddie Hearn or Frank Smith have to say is irrelevant and will not be heard.
Moreover, Eubank Jr. also opened up about personal challenges he has faced in recent years. He reflected on the tragic death of his brother and the complicated relationship with his father, which shaped his path and mental resilience.
I have a 31-year-old brother. He is buried in the desert in Dubai. That's pain. You know, I have his son, Raheem, 3 years old. You know, he asks, why can't I see my daddy? Why doesn't he take me to school? That's pain. My own father, a man I idolized for my entire life, and he doesn't speak to me. We haven't spoken for years, and he thinks I'm a disgrace. You know, these things are what pain is to me.
He wanted to demonstrate the strength he takes to the ring and the depth of his motivation by sharing these experiences. His remarks gave the impression of a guy who had been honed by hardship and was committed to proving that his love for the game had not wavered.
What percent will you be on Saturday, and what percent will be enough to beat Conor Benn?
Yeah, we're not doing the percentages anymore. That was for the first time around before Conor got caught cheating. Now it's about, you know, preparing to get this kid out of boxing. We're not taking him lightly anymore.
Besides, Chris Eubank Jr. made it clear during the final press conference that he is taking Conor Benn extremely seriously, emphasizing that he's fully prepared and not overlooking his opponent in any way. Thinking back on their postponed fight in 2022, Eubank admitted that Benn probably had his greatest chance to defeat him at that time when he was compelled to make a dramatic weight loss that left him exposed.
You know, he should have taken the chance he had in that first fight, when I was underestimating, when I was, you know, playing, when I was taking him lightly. That was his best shot.
Furthermore, Eubank feels that the odds are now in his favor and that Benn won't be able to take advantage of any excuses, shortcuts, or openings because he is competing at a more natural weight and in top shape.
And now it's gone, because now I have a duty to boxing to the public, to the fans who he's lied to, who Eddie Hearn's lied to for the last 2-3 years. I have a duty to erase these guys from the picture.
Most notably, Chris Eubank Jr. asserted that no matter how well prepared you are, anything may happen once you're in the ring. In this uncertain world, even the best laid plans can be derailed in a matter of seconds. He also reminded his opponents that they are not aware of the fire they're about to receive from him, stating forcefully that he is bringing an intensity and hunger that cannot be measured on paper.
That's the beautiful thing about this sport. That doesn't matter what you believe. All that matters is what actually happens once that bell goes, and nobody knows what's going to happen until it happens. What I do know is whatever strategy, whatever game plan these people have come up with, nothing will prepare them for the fire that they're going to receive in a couple of days' time.
In contrast, Conor Benn remained more composed at the news conference. Instead of displaying an emotional response, he listened to the charges and challenges with purpose and focus.
In response to Chris, are you feeling the pressure?
No pressure. You know, I live for this. I've had the fight over 100 times in my head. You know, for me, it's just focusing on the training, you know, removing myself from my comfort zones, my familiarities, my family, and, you know, fully dialing in. You know, I'm not going to allow myself to Chris and go back and forth, and, you know, all that PR's done. I'm excited to get in there and put my hands on him Saturday night. Irrelevant of all the rubbish he wants to talk and you know, names, and, you know, we're not at school, and come Saturday night I get to put my hands on him.
Ben also expressed his willingness to fight and his wish to move on from the past in order to establish himself again in his native country. Eubank's fierce personality was balanced by his poise, which produced a dynamic contrast between the two combatants.
I'm in pain right now. I'll be in even more pain tonight and tomorrow morning.
And the worst pain you've ever experienced comes Saturday night, I promise you that right now.
You know, the question...
Moreover, Conor Benn publicly acknowledged that he fears losing to Chris Eubank Jr., exposing the emotional significance of their eagerly awaited matchup. He admitted that the dread is a result of the pressure to prove himself and repair his reputation. It was evident from this moment of candor how personal this battle is to him.
Conor, hearing you speak this week, you say what gets you out of bed on those early morning runs, it's the fear of losing to another man. What about the fear of losing to this man, Chris Eubank?
Yeah, listen, it's always personal. I'm a very emotional fighter. You know, I fight with my heart on my sleeve, and it's the way I've been my whole career. It's the only way I know. So for me, you know, he is another man. Yes, his name is Eubank, and I won't be losing to a fighter whose name's Eubank, especially not this man.
As the press conference ended, the stage was set for a battle that goes beyond boxing, a clash of pride, legacy, and redemption. Furthermore, in a fiery interview following the press conference, Chris Eubank Jr. opened up about his complex relationship with his father, hinting at both pride and tension in their bond.
I can't let it affect me. I can't pay attention to these things because the fight is going to happen, and if I pay too much attention to it, then it's going to affect me negatively, you know? Right. You know, father or no father, I'm going to get in the ring and somebody's going to try and hurt me. I've got to be in the best shape mentally to avoid that. So that means I have to block out all the noise, all the negative narratives that have been going on, you know? We've got to just focus on getting the job done.
Additionally, he didn't hold back as he slammed promoter Eddie Hearn, criticizing his handling of the fight and questioning his integrity.
Matchroom, Eddie Hearn, Frank Smith, these guys are making money week in, week out through boxing. Fighters, you know, they're fighting once, twice, 3 times a year, maybe. So paying for an entire training camp and then the fight falls through, these promoters should be compensating fighters, you know, because they don't have money like that to spend on camps and then receive nothing back.
Most notably, Chris Eubank Jr. made it obvious that he would not permit Conor Benn to compete in all 12 rounds. This audacious forecast highlights his self-assurance and ambition to leave a lasting impression in the ring.
You will knock Conor Benn out?
It will not go 12 rounds. I will stop this boy. I will knock him out. I will do everything in my power to make sure that he does not see that 12th round.
Interestingly, for the fight against Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn has requested and been given a smaller ring, measuring 18 feet instead of the customary 20. The only particular requirement Benn asked for was this one, which was meant to promote a closer, more violent battle that fits his high-pressure fighting style.
It is different. I think it does feel different. You know, I know you talk like just another fight, a ring, it's always going to be a ring, but because it's him, of all people.
Well, let us answer your question. The only thing I asked for in my contract was an 18-foot ring. So let that just ease your mind in how I'm feeling.
Tensions are high, and the legacy of their father's iconic rivalry only fuels the anticipation. The smaller ring is expected to create a more explosive, high-octane battle, just as Benn wants. While we talk more about this mega clash, recently in an interview, the potential that Chris Eubank Sr. may attend the fight was also discussed by Eddie Hearn, which heightens the already intense rivalry. Given the history between the two families, the famed fighter's appearance would undoubtedly increase the drama and attention. He stated that he would not be surprised if Eubank Sr. showed up.
What happens if we get a surprise and Chris Eubank Sr. shows up? Do you think that's even possible?
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised at all. My dad said that today. Eubank likes to make an entrance, right? He likes to make a scene.
Today?
No, I mean, maybe. I hope so. But I don't think there's any other way to make an entrance and to turn up on Fight Night. But listen, I could be wrong, but from what everybody's saying, like the comments about Chris were pretty brutal.
Furthermore, Hearn also discussed Nigel Benn's remarks about Conor Benn's sparring sessions, in which the former champion emphasized the toughness and talent Conor has acquired in the gym and looked confident in his son's preparation.
What did you think of Nigel Benn's comments on the sparring?
Yeah, I mean, I think that generally you'd keep the sparring in-house, but Nigel's very excited and very proud, so you have to give him a little bit of a pass in that respect, because he come up to me and he's telling me about all the spars. I mean, I know about the spars because I speak to Tony Sims and the team, regularly during camp, but that was just confirmation, mate. You ain't going to believe when we sparred so-and-so. Yeah, but listen, sparring. But it's a great sign when you're sparring well and beating up bigger men.
The back and forth between these two boxing dynasties only intensifies the anticipation for the showdown. In addition to all these talks, Sam Jones has also declared that he fully supports Conor Benn and is convinced that Benn will prevail in the battle. Jones, a crucial member of Benn's team, is confident in his fighter's ability and believes Conor's training and preparation will be sufficient to defeat Chris Eubank Jr.
Right, last one, final prediction, Benn Eubank.
Conor by knockout.
Early, late?
I don't know. I just think that Conor has the edge in speed, ferociousness, youth. He's on his side. I think he's a bigger puncher. But listen, Eubank's a great fighter. He's an experienced operator. It's going to be a great fight, but I'm backing Conor to win the fight.
As we know, Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. have both obviously worked hard and studied this bout in detail, honing their strategies and techniques for the big fight. Now, after all the discussion and excitement, it's time for both men to enter the ring and demonstrate that they have done everything within their power to win. The true test will be how well their preparation translates under the pressure of the fight, where all the training and mental fortitude will be put to the ultimate test. With all of the anticipation, tense arguments, and legacy-driven excitement, Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn's bout is set to rank among the most important bouts in contemporary boxing history. With long-standing family rivalries, divergent fighting styles, and personal stakes at an all-time high, this fight is more than just a fight. It's a generational clash that has boxing fans' attention. A whirlwind of excitement has been produced by the intensity, drama, and anticipation around this fight, and when the bell rings, it promises to provide pyrotechnics that could rock the sport's foundation.